Welcome to the latest episode of Flyside Chats. And today I'm with Adam Trahan. I've known Adam online for a long time, back to when I started Tenkara, so 2009-ish, something like that. Only met him once in person, I think, at of all places in Arkansas, at the Salbug Roundup.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah. Okay, cool.
It was the only time I ever got to meet Adam in person. I'll shoot it to you, Adam, to let us know a little bit about yourself.
Hey, I'm just a guy. I work. I got a day job. I'm a cardiovascular technician. I'm a husband to a beautiful wife, Melissa. She's a hospice nurse, a frontline worker. I've got 3 boys. They're just awesome. They're young men. Jacob's out on his own. He's 27. Eli's 22. He's on his own. Noah's 13. I'm just blessed. I really enjoy fishing. I've done many other things since I was a kid, and I quit hang gliding and got into fishing. So this is the reason why you and I are talking, obviously. So
yeah.
Back at you.
All right. So Adam runs a website, Tenkara-Fisher, right? And
Tenkara-Fisher, yeah.
Yeah. So I'll put the links for that, and he's
cool. Right on.
Yeah, we'll get that in there, and it's a great resource for anyone that's into Tenkara and wants to learn a little bit about it. Especially, he's got some great stuff on there from guest writers from Japan, and if you're interested in exploring that aspect of Tenkara, it's a great resource. So I'll start with the question I've been asking folks, and that is, looking forward to the new year and the new season. What are the things, if any, that you're looking forward to trying? New things or new places that you're looking forward to going?
So for the new year, I go through, usually I go through phases. Right now I'm focused on Onru Tenkara in rivers. I have a big river that is a 4-hour drive north of me here, the Colorado River. And particularly I'm focused on a section of it, about 15 miles of the river, in Glen Canyon, which is below the Glen Canyon Dam. It's a big western river. I've been fly fishing on it since mid-early 90s. I've got a tremendous amount of experience fly fishing it. It's a tailwater, cold, midges, scuds, glow bugs, that sort of thing. So this Onru Tenkara that I'm into now, it involves camping, paddling back the 9 to 15 miles back to the boat dock so I can drive home. So it's a huge adventure. I quit fly fishing when I started Tenkara in 2009 somewhere around in there. And I have not been fly fishing since then. So to figure out a river with a Tenkara rod has been, it's been a little bit difficult for me because I keep wanting to switch back to fly fishing techniques, and Tenkara is not fly fishing. You can make it fly fishing, but if you're really doing it the way that it was developed, it's different.
So Adam was just talking about Onru Tenkara, and actually I kind of anticipated he might talk about it. So I put this picture behind me, which is probably the biggest river around here that I could trout fish on. It's tailwater, the Youghiogheny River, southwest Pennsylvania. But yeah, like you were talking about, tackling it with fixed line rods is it's tough. I don't know if I'd call it Onru Tenkara or not. It's just I've done it with fixed line rods in some ways that I've found that work for me. And so I'm kind of curious.
Sure.
What when you're going to go to a big river, what are you rigging up with?
So I use longer rods, obviously, because it's open, longer rod, and a longer line. And I don't use typical lines that you would buy at, Tenkara Bomb or Tenkara Ya. I make my own lines out of spinning, regular conventional tackle. And I use lines 7 to 10 meters, basically. So I've got a huge, big rod, really long line.
What length rod?
And I have just bought a second rod, a backup rod, which is a Oni Honru 450. So 4.5 meters. The rod that I typically use is a Gamakatsu Suimu, and it's a 5-meter rod. And those rods are beasts. The Oni rod is not so much. It's always interesting because I hear people talk about tip heavy rods, and it's just, to me, it's acceptable. If you want that long of a rod, you're gonna have to deal with it. So you just get used to it. I'm finding that at about 4.5 meters, that's a physics wise, and pushing air and all that kind of stuff, that's about where it stops. Right. I'd like to have a 6-meter rod, single hand rod, but it just doesn't work. And I've bought so many rods looking for it. This is, a lot of this water is slack water. It's still, and it's clear as can be.
So I had the Oni, the 450, and I had a Daiwa 450, and
right.
I also had some of the more like the KU style rods, without a hand, without the handle, those kind of rods, a couple in that size range.
Sure.
But I've sold off all of the rods in that size range. For me, it was just I just didn't enjoy casting a rod that big, and stick to a max of about 13 feet. That's kind of what I feel most comfortable with fishing. So not having the longer rod, what I've come to do is I make floating lines out of Euro nymphing line. So it's like a monocore Euro nymphing line. And
sure.
So I can make a real long line out of that, and it casts like super easy. But then you're basically looking at fishing with the line on the water. It's definitely a line on the water kind of technique. And then I'll put really long tippets, maybe up to 8-9 feet of tippet. If I'm fishing like that, I'm trying to get deep,
right.
Put big stuff on. So it's not really, I think it's out of the realm of Tenkara. It's fixed line fishing, I guess. But
I think if you're having fun, that's all that matters.
Right. So when you're fishing with on big rivers like that with long rods and I'm assuming monofilament lines, are you able to fish with the line off of the water? Are you fishing like in that sort of Tenkara style?
It's almost 100% subsurface, and all of my fish are caught tight line. They're not caught dead drifting. It can be a combination of pulsing where you're sort of dead drifting and matching the speed of the water, but there's always a tight line element. Now in water that clear and a line that clear like that, it's very difficult to see the fly. So I rely on tactility, and the rods that I had mentioned previously, the Gamakatsu rod is very tactile. It's 5 meters long, 7-meter line, but oh my goodness, you can feel just a little bit of a rattle on that thing. So I've learned that Tenkara does not have to be so sight fishing and visual. It can be very tactile. You can pick up hints from the drape of the line and where the line enters the meniscus. If you watch that little V wake that it makes, or the lack of it, but changes. I'm really focusing on changes. So I just get into a rhythm of casting and being in the moment. And I have very little distractions. It's silent. We're in a canyon that's just, there's not much going on. So you just really get in the zone.
So you're doing your strike detection. You're feeling a lot of strikes.
Yes. So if you've caught thousands, let's just say, I'll just say it. If you caught thousands of fish in the same scenario, you there's visual takes. The underside, the belly of the trout is silver. You can see a little silver wink or their mouth open. It's white.
Right, right.
So there's those visual takes if the rod's real high and it's closer to you. But the line in combination with the telegraphing of that take rattling, the rattle is the best way that I could put it. So I'm feeling a lot of the strikes. And the other thing is too is I imagine a lot of fish that I catch. I don't know how to put it, but it's a lot of imagination too. There's so much hope and faith in this type of fishing that it just turns into fish. You catch fish.
It takes me a couple days usually. If I'm just out for one day, I may not get in the groove, but if I'm out for the next day, and then you start to develop that sixth sense, and like you say, it's almost like if someone asked you, well, why did you set the hook? It'd be hard to even tell them. You just, like you say, you just knew that there was a hook there. And what those little signs are, I'm not sure. It's not mystical. Obviously, you're tuned into something. The little way the line moves, or like you just know it's in the right spot.
Actually, it is kind of mystical. It's fishing. That's fishing, and that's why I continue to do it over and over. It's those types of things that attract me to this type of fishing, because it's really relaxing. I really just empty my mind. I'm not thinking about what I'm doing. I'm just doing it.
Right.
I'm so far away from people. I'm so far removed. You can't get to where I'm at unless you have a boat or a helicopter. That's just the way it is. And I really enjoy it. It's an escape, and I really enjoy it.
It makes me think of Eddie, an angler from Tenkara angler from Japan. For folks who don't know him, he introduced a term called Natsuno Shonen, so a boy in summer, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yamakawa-san?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. And it's that thing where you're just getting back to like a boy in summer, where you have no other commitments or no other pulls on your attention, and you're just totally in that moment of whatever it is that you're doing.
He is actually responsible for a lot of my education on Tenkara, whether he knows it or not. He's been very influential, and he's one of the people I need to always thank when it comes to my Tenkara, because he was an early person that really helps define what I need to focus on in this type of fishing.
I'll turn it over to you, Adam, for any last words you want to say to people before we end.
So I have a couple of people that I really want to thank for my life in Tenkara. And I guess the first one would be Keiji Ito. Keiji Ito caught me. I was about to fall. I was far up a valley in Japan, and I had a sore ankle. But he caught me, and he realized maybe this American guy is a little bit over his head, and I wasn't. But he took care of me. He prevented me from getting hurt. So Keiji Ito, I want to say thank you. Sabata-san, Masami Sakakibara, Kozu Sanbei for taking care of me. Probably AG, like you said, Yamamoto-san, all kinds, Daniel Gallardo, yourself, for contributing to Tenkara. I think it's important to recognize the people that helped you along and maybe gave you ideas. So those are the people I want to say thank you to. There's a lot more.
Yeah.
And I didn't forget you. You're in my heart, and I appreciate it. So.
Okay, excellent. That is a nice reminder to think about and to thank those people that have helped us along the way. Excellent. Thank you, Adam.